Good morning, everyone. Carrie Clark here with slpsolution.com and Speech and Language Kids. And today I am going to show you how I collect data with a mixed group. So we talked yesterday or the day before about how one of the ways that you can really improve your data collection is by not trying to take data on every single repetition or trial. So what that means is that you are spending the first 3 weeks of your month doing really intensive therapy, providing lots of good teaching and prompts and all that you need to do. And then you spend your last week of the month focusing on the data collection part. So we're going to talk today about mixed groups because that's a question that I got earlier this week and that I get a lot, is how do you collect that data on those mixed groups during that last week of the month when you're doing your review week, but you have 3 or 4 children in your room or more, and you need to figure out how to make sure you get all the data while keeping everyone engaged and practicing their skills. So what I have here is a couple of my favorite ways to do this. So I'm gonna, lose things. I'm gonna start off with my data collection page. This is the one I shared earlier this week. So I would be writing their goals along here, and then I will just be filling in data here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up stations. So I'm going to have stations around my room or in different places where they can go and do some independent practice while I'm working with one of the students. So I will be one of the stations, and then the rest of the students will be rotating around and practicing their skills with some independent activities. So I'm going to give them each a sheet or write down a list of words or just verbally tell them what their skill is that they need to be practicing, but it's going to be something that they can do independently. So we're not trying to master that next level right now. We're saying, okay, what can they already do? Let's reinforce that while I'm collecting my data for this week. We did 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of the month, as that really intensive therapy where I was not collecting data on every repetition so that I could be fully present in the moment and helping them with those skills. So this is just reinforcing what we did the rest of the month. So I might hand them a worksheet and say, okay, here are your words you're going to say. I might give them a list of words I write down, but they're going to be practicing that while they go around to these different stations and do different activities. So I'm going to show you a couple of my favorites. I really like these yoga pretzel cards, and my clients do too, because yoga is really fun for kids, especially if you make it fun. So with these are just pictures of yoga poses, and on the back is the instructions on how to get into that pose. So for this station, this might be our yoga station, and they would pick a card, they would get into that pose, and then they would practice their list of words that they already know how to do. We're just reinforcing the skill while they're holding the pose, and they would see how many they can get through. So that would be one station that your clients could be rotating through while you're collecting data with a different one. Any kind of fine motor activity is great for this. So these are polka dots. I don't know if you can see it. Here, I gotta pop it back out. These have little plastic dots that when you push on them, they pop through. And so it's kind of like bubble wrap, but you can keep doing it. There are toys that have these little pop things, so that's a good one to use too. But this is just what I had this book. So you can have a fine motor station where you've got something on the table and you say, okay, every time you pop a bubble or every time you, whatever the toy is, you say one of your words or you practice your sound. Hi, welcome. If you guys are just joining us, we are talking about different stations you can send your clients through while you're collecting data with one in a mixed group. So this was a fine motor station. We had a gross motor station. I really like building stations because it keeps their brain and their fingers occupied while they're practicing. Just make sure that you cue them, and you might have to remind them. Show the book. Yep. This is Poke a Dot. It's an Alphabet I Spy. There's a bunch of these Poke a Dot books in this series, and it's got these little poppers that you just pop through, and it's on all the pages. So this Poke a Dot, that's the series. There's a bunch of those. All right. So there's also these builders. I like these. There are these little discs. I don't even know what these are called. And you just poke them on. So you could have a basket of the discs completely disassembled, and you can say, okay, Every time you put on a disc, you have to say one of your words. So again, these are those words that they already know how to do. We're just reinforcing this skill during our review week. And then you can also, before the end of the session, say, okay, now we're about to change stations, so undo all your structure, or you can have him leave it and the next client can add on to it, because that's fun too. All right, I also have some things. This is our speech in a box. Oh, I just knocked the dry erase board down. This is our speech in a box that we have over on our website. So I've got a couple of things in here that I like to use for my stations too. This is a dry erase dice. So I have written numbers and I've written dance break. So this one is just really easy. Have them roll the dice and then say their words that many times, or do a dance break. So you can write anything on these, but just a little dry erase dice is really helpful. Is this book an Amazon find? I think the polka dot books are on Amazon. So yeah, I would check for that one. All right. I also really like pulling pictures out of Highlights magazine. Highlights magazine is super cheap, and I just cut the pictures out and put them onto a piece of cardstock, and I've put them on a ring so that they're together. So you can, if you're working on especially like a language skill, you can say, okay, I want you to be working on your he, she sentences. So you're going to take these pictures and you're going to look and you're going to say she is, and then you're going to find somebody that's doing something and describe it. So this could be an independent station while you're collecting data. Let's see what else we've got in here. We've got this is our articulation screener. So if you just needed them to practice some different sounds, you could give them a couple of these strips. We got all kinds of stuff. Oh, down here, so we've got articulation cards in our box. Uh-oh, maybe. There we go. So you could also hand them one of your decks of cards. If you've got other flashcards, of course. You can hand the children a deck of cards and give them a task to do. So maybe they're putting them in piles, maybe they're sorting them, or maybe they're just saying them as they go through the other stations. So, I hope you're able to save this life. Man, me too. I've been having trouble with that, but the last couple have saved, so I'm thinking I've got it. Also, mirrors are great. There's those talk tube things. Those are great for stations as well. So generally the idea here is you're going to give all of your clients a list of things that they have been working on this month that they're fairly independent with. You don't want them to practice it the wrong way, but you're going to give them something that they're successful with. And then you're going to have them move around to different stations where they are practicing their skill while they go around to the different stations. And then when they get to you, then you're collecting your great data on all of their goals. You're making sure that you have the information you need to write progress notes, as well as to choose what 1 to 3 skills that you're going to target for the following month. So again, we're doing 3 weeks of very intensive therapy. The last week is when we're doing this data collection and these rotations in the stations, so that number 1, the children can practice their skills independently, and number 2, you can collect all the data you need to be able to make your therapy decisions moving forward. All right. So that's what I have. If you guys have questions on that, absolutely type those into the comments. I'm also taking suggestions if there's any other data collection kinds of things that you want to talk about. We can do more lives on that subject. That one is one we've been working on this week. There's also a couple other videos on data collection on our Instagram page, as well as on our website. So you can check those out. And yeah, I think that's it. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye.